Greetings and welcome to a new Armored Core series on the channel, Armored Core Requiem. In this series I will be taking player-submitted builds and optimizing them to the best of my abilities, preferably creating an objectively better build. This is all to further my goal of one day becoming one of the best known builders in Armored Core 6. I already have some experience creating my own PvP builds, and now let's see what I can do with others. Greetings! The build we are taking a look at today to Requiem comes from another Discord user, a pal of mine. We are both in a more PvP focused Armored Core Discord. We host tournaments and all that cool stuff, regulated tournaments, event themes, all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in joining, I will have a link in the description if you like to join. You can throw builds my way for Requiem, chat with lots of cool people. Overall, cool place, very warm welcomes, very epic. Oh, and one more thing, I very much appreciate the positive feedback on my first Requiem video. I was just kind of seeing what would stick, throwing a new idea at the wall, and it paid off. It did really well, so I will be doing a lot more of those. If you enjoy to see them and want to see more, give me criticisms on how best I can make builds and their videos themselves, feel free to let me know. Again, I appreciate the absolute fuck out of you. Have a good one, enjoy. Alright, so first off, let's take a look at the current build. For the weapons, first off we have the burst handgun, very similar to our last build we took a look at, so I think we already know what we're going to upgrade this into. Next we have the Harris, one of the, if not the best kinetic assault rifles in the game, or snipers I guess, considering it's a single fire instead of fully automatic. This weapon is super good for building a poise break if you use the charge shots. Thing is, it does go on cooldown after just one charge shot, so you're going to have to complement it with something else. It's good to dual wield these, or like we have in this build, have a offhand to also continuously build up poise. And for our first shoulder weapon, we have a active homing missile launcher. This is the single variant versus the dual variant. The dual variant adds a bit of weight, but overall is just better, so I think we know what we're going to do when it comes to this, but we'll test around a little bit. And for our next shoulder weapon, we actually have the explosive thrower, a melee weapon. I never really see this used. I remember seeing it in the trailer for this game before it released, and looks really cool, but I've not seen many people use it, so I'll have to test it out and see what it's all about. Now when it comes to the parts, this looks really cool style-wise. I think it looks very nice. And I would say this is the lightweight class, considering it's below half in the current load, as well as it has 382 boost speed, which is pretty high. This means this build is going to move around very quickly and can get close for the melee, the missile thrower for sure. And as predicted, the current booster prioritizes boost speed over much else, but overall has decent stats overall. And I can see that the current FCS was chosen to improve the multi-lock performance, which, if you don't know, will increase the tracking on missiles. So the slow firing missile on our shoulder will actually have insane tracking and hit 90% of the time, or like 8 out of 10 times. But having that type of missile doing that much damage, hit constantly, and being that slow to add constant pressure is really good. And it's a small price to pay for the FCS, although we might have to make up for it with some notch arms. We'll see that. And for the generator, nothing too crazy, but it offers us some decent stats while prioritizing our decent weight as well, not weighing us down too much, but not giving us absolutely shafted stats either. So we'll see what we can do with this later. And then for the expansion of Assault Armor, which I guess matches pretty well if we plan on being close enough to use our melee. Alrighty, and now I will go through my upgrading process, and after I will walk you through each decision.
これが Requiem だ。
Alrighty, behold the Requiem. I shall now go through first the weapons. For the first primary, if you see my last Requiem video, you can probably see where this one was going. I find that this has similar results, but just has everything about it better. It's recoil control, its ammo capacity, its overall damage. Its impact isn't as good, but really that doesn't make much of a difference when we pair it with our next primary. Which you can see it stays the Harris. The Harris is just the best rifle for this purpose, which is to shoot the enemy quite a bit, maybe even empty our clip with the Estrogen, and then hit it with the charge shot of the Harris to break their poise and then go in for our punish. And for our first shoulder weapon, I have simply just upgraded it from the single variant to the double variant. Only downside is it weighs a little bit more, but honestly, that's a small price to pay for double the damage on an insanely good rocket. And for our next shoulder weapon, I kept the explosive thrower as I really do like it. I think it's a main staple of this build's uniqueness. However, I did find similar and in some cases better results with the plasma thrower as another melee. Obviously, due to the energy shortfall, you have to switch out the generator, but only downside to this versus the thrower is the thrower has much more range with very similar damage. So you could use either one depending on which one you like more for sure. Just know that the missile or explosive thrower adds a bit more range, and of course if you use the plasma thrower you have to swap the generator to something probably a little more heavy. Now when it comes to the parts, I tried to balance out speed with better performances overall. We lost a bit of speed, but the durability and stats we gained in contrary work very well for us. And yet again I'm going with the notch arms for their max firearm specialization, which will help our accuracy with our weapons, which you kind of need for the FCS. Spoiler alert, we didn't change the FCS. Our missile launches really need it, especially when we're rocking 2 of them, which increases the lock-on time by a little bit. But yeah, the previous arms really only beat the knocked and recoil control and speed, being lighter, adding more speed to us. But speed, as you can see, doesn't go up by a lot, 2 and 4. As well as the recoil only goes up by a little bit, and in my testing, comparing the two, we don't really need a whole lot of recoil control with our guns, so we're fine. Now when it comes to the legs, not really much thought, just we lose a bit of speed, but we gain much more stats for better survivability. And for the booster, I didn't end up changing it, as every other booster in comparison at this rate with this build are just inferior. These boosters are it. And like I said, we're keeping the FCS for the missile lock-on. It improves our shoulder mounts heavily. And of course we have the notch arms to make up for our lack in close range / medium range assist. And despite these stats being a bit different, the actual performance, the amount of boost we get, all that good stuff is actually quite similar, and that's to the point where it doesn't really make a difference and all we gain is more speed. Alright, now let's see how effectively the builds can kill Freud, and after we'll compare these stats for the builds side by side. Alright, actually not bad, not bad. Let's see what our time is. 49 seconds. That's not huge. It was pretty slow for sure, but then again, could be better with the build. But alrighty, and now with Requiem. Oh, that was definitely a lot quicker. Oh my god, yeah, the damage on the missiles is so much better. I feel like the East Eugene is a lot more consistent than the first handgun. And 32 seconds, not bad, not bad. Alrighty, and here are the stats for the builds side by side. Requiem on the left, the previous on the right. Alrighty, and yeah, that is my Requiem take on the build. I hope you enjoyed this one, mate. I hope this upgrade lives up to your expectations. If you have anything you change or you are not happy with, do feel free to let me know in a comment below. As well as to anyone watching, if you have any criticisms as to how I can improve making these videos, as well as the builds themselves, feel free to voice your opinion. I'm totally down to suggestion, down to learn more and improve the buildings as we go on. But yeah, always said, you have a very good one. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.